Hey, we're going to talk about how to approach an event or how to approach eating out in a way that you can feel confident in a way that aligns with your goals, and in a way that does not lead to you feeling guilty or ashamed or like you're off track. So let's dive in. One of the really important things to note is that planning helps tremendously. Planning helps you make educated choices. It creates a road map and it helps bring awareness to your choices. Planning ahead is not always perfect. And I would actually encourage you to not even give yourself perfect as a choice. It is still a really important thing to do. When you are in a situation, there is a lot going on and there's a lot of influence around you. So when you can make a plan ahead of time and you can think about the things we're going to talk about in this lesson, then that will actually help your brain be in a better situation when you are there. So making a plan is really, really important. When it comes to approaching an event or approaching eating out, a meal out, there's a couple different ways that you can choose to approach this. And they may be different for different situations. These are all going to be tools in your toolbox. So deciding on your tracking approach, your tracking macros, are you going to track for this event or for this meal out? Are you going to loosely track for the day, the meal out, whatever it is? Or are you going to not track that meal, that event at all? Let's go through the different options. So if you're deciding to track this meal, then one thing I highly suggest doing here is pre-logging the meal as accurately as possible, including if you're going to have drinks. And then you can reverse engineer. So you're going to build the rest of your day around that as much as possible. And this can be really, really important, especially if that meal looks different than what your normal meals look like. Maybe that meal is higher fat or higher carbs or lower protein, lower fiber. Often things we see when we eat out or we go to an event. So this can be really helpful in guiding you in how to approach the rest of your day, so you're still getting in things that your body needs. You're still aligning with any goals that you have, and then giving you a plan again to go into that meal. That meal, again, it may be normal and it may be different. There's different ways that you can do this. So you can either break down what is there and track by ingredient or component. This may give you more accuracy in the situation. So, for example, instead of saying like one cheeseburger, you would break down that burger and you would say like 4 ounces of cooked 80-20 beef, hamburger bun, cheese. Logging the components separately will give you higher accuracy there. And be honest with the things that you're logging. There may be a website that has information to help you track and log. You could always do a quick log of food here as well, where you're just blocking off certain macros or certain calories if you're not entirely sure, but you do want to track that meal. If you are tracking, you want to track, but you're not really sure what's going to be there, then that may be a different option. And this is where maybe you go into loosely tracked. So you can log what I would call a dummy meal to block off space, and then again, building your day around it. You're still going to reverse engineer. One way to do this is to either log foods that are similar to what you may be having, or just block off a space with a quick track where you're blocking off a certain amount of calories, a block of fats, a block of carbs, a block of protein, however you want to do this, and then you can build your day around it. Again, be honest with yourself. If you're going out and you're going to have, let's say, 2 drinks, and you're going to have a full meal out, like you're going to have a burger and fries, then don't just block off 300 calories for yourself. Be honest with what this may be. Another thing you can do is just leave space in your day for that meal. If you don't want to track that meal, but you want to track the rest of your day, then you can just leave your space calorie-wise, macro-wise for that meal. One thing that I would suggest here is going into that meal where you don't have an abundance of protein or an abundance of fiber to make up for, because very likely it's not going to be a super high protein meal or a super high fiber meal unless this is something that you know it's going to be. So maybe not leaving like more than 30 or 40 grams of protein left to be had, but leaving yourself space and then building the rest of your day around it. And then the other way that you can loosely track is just estimating as much as possible or as much as you want to, knowing that accuracy does go down here. However, this has its benefits and it can help create a lot of awareness here, attention, etc. And then the third option here is untracked. So you just don't track the events or the eating out. This does not mean you're off track. This also does not mean that you go balls to the wall. So this is where you get very real with yourself, because sometimes if people are tracking macros, they see this as an opportunity to just like go into behaviors that don't necessarily feel great because you're not seeing calories or macros in writing in front of you. They still count, and we want to align your behaviors in ways that help you feel the way you want to feel. So if you decide not to track the meal, that's totally okay. It may be a normal meal, it may be a different meal, but this is a choice that you have, and it gives you a lot of opportunity to tune into your eating behaviors and work on putting skills into practice that you have with meal building and mindfulness in mind. Some eating out, let me move my face out of the way. Events, eating out strategies, taking it another step. So deciding on what you want out of this experience. How do you want to feel afterwards? What do you want this experience to be for you? What's important for you here? All of these questions go into planning because they give you a guiding light in what to do during it, how to behave during it, what kind of attitude to have, any challenging of limiting thoughts to do. For example, if you want this experience to be something that is making memories with your friends and your family, having a good time, you want to leave and not feel hammered. You want to get up the next day and go for a hike or do a workout, then that approach is going to be different than if you're like, I just want to get drunk with my friends. And knowing that there's going to be adjustments in here in what you do and how you're going to feel. So just being intentional with this is going to be key. There's no right or wrong answers here, and there's always opportunity to learn. And then really going in and kind of making some choices on, hey, what are you going to have? I say this more so when it comes to drinks. If you are partaking in alcohol or anything like that, maybe setting a drink limit, maybe setting a plan for yourself when it comes to drinking alcohol. One thing that can help when it comes to eating out or certain events is looking at the menu ahead of time. When you could do this by looking online, and then you can decide and then go into logging strategies from there. If there's an event like a wedding where you're not entirely sure what's going to be there, maybe you do have a meal that's been assigned, or maybe it's a buffet. If there's an open bar, you're going to have some drinks, then you can go into strategies with that and then log based on those things, based on meal descriptions or even photos. Maybe there's a work event, you're not entirely sure. Then you can use these to the best of your ability. You can always modify your order to work for you. So if you're going out to a restaurant or you're ordering food, there's always adjustments that you can make, and do not be afraid to make those adjustments or ask for things in the way that you want them. Maybe you request minimal oil or butter for things being cooked in. When you go out to a restaurant, you can always assume that there's going to be higher fat in there. There's probably going to be higher salt. They want that food to taste good. And if something like fat loss is on your radar, or maybe certain things don't lend to your stomach feeling good, or you want to have a little bit more control in the portion sizes, ask for what you want. Ask for dressings and sauces, or even toppings of things on the side. Ask for different sides if you want to. Hey, can I have a baked potato instead of French fries? Can I have a side salad? Hey, I don't see protein listed for these salads, but can I add chicken to this? With this burger, can I get the sauces on the side for it? And then you can always break down things in the ways that you want to eat them, in ways that work for you. One strategy that works really well for people is sharing. So let's say that there's a meal that you want that's maybe a little bit more calorie dense, maybe a little bit more indulgent. Maybe you want to get dessert, but you don't want to eat the whole thing. Split that with someone. Share it with the table. This can help where you can have a taste of something, but not feel like you're going overboard with it. Or even going out to events, places, wherever that you want to try local foods, you want to try different things. Splitting meals can be a really great way to help kind of manage portions and keep you in a spot that's feeling good for you. So use this. And then another strategy that can also help, portions is a big thing when it comes to going out to eat, because research shows that people will eat whatever is in front of them. So one thing that can help with portion control is asking for a to-go box before you start eating. Put half or a portion of that meal in the to-go box so it's out of sight, out of mind. And this allows you to just be better in tune with your fullness. And then you can always have more if you're still feeling hungry. Leaning into mindful eating habits is going to be huge. So things like chewing your food, slowing down, putting your fork down in between bites, paying attention to who you're with, because likely if you're at an event or you're out to eat, you're with people that are important for one reason or another. So that goes into creating the experience you want to have. Pay attention to your hunger and your fullness cues. Do not go into that meal super, super, super hungry, because that will likely turn into you not feeling great and behaving in ways that don't feel great for you. If you're starting to feel full, then that is a good sign of where to stop or where to pause for yourself. And this takes experimentation. It takes practice. So kind of learning what those things feel like for you, maybe asking yourself some questions when you go to eat, like if I eat another bite, how am I going to feel? Practicing good food hygiene is similar when it comes to the mindful eating. Mindful eating, also paying attention to like what your food is, right? Is there protein here? Is there vegetables? Maybe I'm going to eat the protein first and foremost and then go into the other things. And then again, just being present is going to be huge. Enjoying the experience. This includes putting your phone away, putting your tracking app away, and just tuning in and leaning into behaviors and creating the experience you want to have. How to decide like what you're gonna do, because different events may mean different things. If you're going to a wedding of your best friend, then that's likely gonna look a little bit different than if you're going to like a distant cousin's wedding. Maybe you're going to let loose a little bit more at one event versus another. Maybe it's a friend's barbecue where it's just like, hey, we're getting together, having your birthday versus a coworker's birthday. Is it your close friend celebration, or is it like a friend of a friend celebration? Is this a date night? All of these things are going to matter when it comes to approaching an event. And what I would really encourage you to think about is knowing that the specialness of certain events comes with just being there at the event. It doesn't necessarily mean the food, the drink, the whatever. Those things may be part of it, and that's totally okay. There may be certain foods that you're really looking forward to on certain events. This is the case like sometimes with Thanksgiving or certain holidays, for example, or maybe there's a special cake you get on your birthday, like I do. So these are all things to think about. And, if it's like a distant cousin's wedding, maybe that's something that you're like, hey, I'm only going to have 1 or 2 drinks. And this is somewhere that I'm going to like just chill a little bit. Or if it's your best friend's wedding, then maybe that's a little bit different. But also making those choices intentional and being acceptant of what the push and the pull there is. Knowing that if you decide to let loose a little bit more, then that may lead to you not necessarily feeling the best physically the next day. So just putting these thoughts into play. Different events may mean different things to you, may mean different approaches. What not to do is not thinking about an approach or winging it. No matter how experienced you are, this is not going to help you. Think about certain aspects. Think about what's worked for you in the past, what certain roadblocks may be, and create some kind of a plan before you go into it. Don't just say, oh, I'll just figure it out. That's not going to work well for you, I promise. Not eating all day or like saving your calories for something is going to end up in you feeling like crap mentally, physically, emotionally. When you go into something really, really, really hungry, your body is like, I just need food. I don't care what it is. And you're likely going to overeat, go a little bit crazy, and behave in ways that don't feel great for you. So eating beforehand, eating in your day, if you reverse engineer or whatever it is, make sure that you're not hoarding calories or saving them or whatever. Eating beforehand actually lends to you feeling better and being able to make more intentional choices when you go into it. Do not be attached to your phone or your food scale. Unless you are in a position where you are needing to be a certain weight for a certain thing, like a weight class sport, and you're in a phase for this is not something you need to be concerned about at all. So take the chaos away from the food, from the macros, and really put yourself into the experience and look at what opportunities there are to gain skills. Being obsessive, same thing. That's not going to help you. And that hasn't helped you in the past. So let's move away from being obsessive and all of the food noise and focus on behaving in ways that help you feel the way you want to feel. Not letting others sway you away from what feels right for you. Your environment can be very influential. Maybe you're at a wedding and people are forcing drinks all around. It's okay for you to say no. It's okay for you to take the drink and put it somewhere else. It's okay for you to order something entirely different than other people. Tune into you. Do not try to overcompensate. So even if you are going to have more, even if you went over your calories, even if you behaved in ways that were not aligned with your plan, don't try to overcompensate by exercising more the next day or under eating the next day. See what you can learn and move forward from this experience. And do not beat yourself up. That is not helpful here. Again, take a zoom out. Think about, what can I learn from this experience? If I did anything differently, or if I could do anything differently, what would it be specifically and why? And then take that with you, put it in your back pocket, and continue forward into your normal. Okay, that is how to approach an event. Any questions at all whatsoever, just let me know.